The second commandment: if you do good, people will accuse you of selfish, ulterior motives. Do good anyway. Sorry that I didn't read yesterday, I was just too tired. But I try my best not to miss any single day. Let's see. I learned this commandment when I was 15, a sophomore in high school. Let me put this here. I was interested in student government. At my high school, there was a representative assembly, which consisted of an elected representative of each homeroom. The student body's office presided over meetings of the representative assembly. Each grade level had its own class officers as well, who met to plan class activities such as the junior prom. In the fall of my sophomore year, the student body officers decided that they would like to get rid of the representative assembly and form a smaller council consisted of the class officers and the student body officers. They said this would unify the class councils and the student body government and make things more efficient. They sincerely believed this would be a major improvement. Their organization plan disturbed me. The Representative Assembly was a broad-based group with about 65 members. The new council would have only 20 members. To me, the Representative Assembly stood for grassroots student involvement and democracy. The new council would reduce the number of student participants by more than two-thirds. I thought it would be an elitist group, a kind of oligarchy. 20 students would represent 2,400 students. Since the reorganization would require a school-wide vote to change the student government constitution, the campus leaders began talking it up. When they represented their plan, I spoke up against it. When the student body what's happening with me today? Okay, let me read this whole paragraph over again. Since the reorganization would require a school-wide vote to change the student government constitution, the campus leaders began talking it up. When they represented their plan, I spoke up against it. When the student body president did a public announcement supporting the plan, I asked for and was given equal time to rebuttal. When the school paper published an editorial supporting the reorganization, I wrote a letter criticizing it. For weeks, I was the only student who was willing to publicly oppose the new plan. My criticisms irritated the campus leaders. They were the in crowd, the social leaders of the campus, and they were not used to being opposed. I had to live with their jeers and snide remarks. The results. They got my class schedule and twice came into the class I was attending, telling the teacher that they wanted to debate me. Then there with no warning. Once the teacher let them, some of the supporters of the organization even picketed during lunchtime. The signs they held as they circled in front of the school not only supported the reorganization but attacked me personally. I was persona non grata in all the right circles. After a few weeks, 5 or 6 other students decided to publicly oppose the plan. Awareness of the issue grew on campus. Finally, it was agreed that we would have a debate at the school assembly before the student body voted on the issue. 2 tables were set up on the stage in the auditorium with several student speakers at each. I led the speakers. Yes, I led the speakers at the opposition table. The assembly lasted less than an hour, but it was enough time to get our points across. When the vote was taken, the reorganization was defeated by a vote of 1,700 to 400. We won an astounding victory. The representative assembly was not abolished, and the smaller council was not established. Months later, the student body president told me that the reorganization plan had been a mistake, and she was glad it had failed. I thought it took courage to take on the campus leaders as a new sophomore in my school months at the school. Those first few weeks, during which I was the only voice of the opposition, were very lonely ones. I did not enjoy being attacked, and I could not believe I was being picketed. I was made to feel like an outcast, and it was not a good feeling. After we won, I was elated. The vote made it clear that I was not alone, that in fact 80% of the student body understood what I was trying to say. I decided to get more involved. The following spring, I signed up to run for student body vice president. When the list of candidates came out with my name on it, one of the campus leaders got in his last night's remark. "I knew it," he said. "You just opposed the organization as a way of getting your name out front, so you could run for office. You're just an opportunity. You're just an opportunist. No, opportunist. That was right. You're just an opportunist." He made a face and walked away. I was stunned. When I opposed the reorganization, I was certain that I was giving up any possibility of being elected and appointed to anything. I was an object of contempt among the campus leaders, and I didn't expect to win. I felt strongly about the issue, so I decided to speak up. Now, the stand I took was being characterized as a public relations stunt, a calculated move. Good morning, Mark. A calculated move by a political opportunist. I couldn't believe anybody would think that, much less saying it. I have seen this happen over and over again. People are twisted and bent, cynical and tired, have usually given up doing good. Instead, they are just trying to get what they can for themselves. They justify their behavior by claiming that everybody else is the same. Everybody else is just out for themselves too. They attribute their own motives to others. They see people who are doing good as people who are only pretending to be doing good, when in fact they are really after something selfish. People who act on their own selfish ulterior motives commonly accuse others of doing the same thing. So if you do good, what you have done may be belittled by the twisted and bent, the cynical and tired. That is sad, but it says more about them than it says about you. Since this is highlighted, I will read it slowly again. People who act on their own selfish, ulterior motives commonly accuse others of doing the same thing. So if you do good, what you have done may be belittled by the twisted and bent, the cynical and tired. That is sad, but it says more about them than it says about you. You still need to do what is right and good and true. That is where their personal meaning and satisfaction are to be found. So, to summarize, if you do good, people will accuse you of selfish ulterior motives. Do good anyway. So, Mark, since you are here, let me switch the camera to front camera. I have a question. At first, I thought I should do only non-fiction, but since you mentioned about the Little Prince, and I think since it's not a teaching class, it's just solely a reading. Should I do go back to do the Little Prince or read something non something fiction as well? What do you think? Because I think The Little Prince is a good book and I enjoy reading it as much as I enjoy reading this. But yeah, maybe it can change people's mood, I think. What do you think? Do both. Thank you. By the way, where are you from? I have never had a chance to talk to you directly. Mhm. You know, since that day that you mentioned about The Little Prince, and I feel like um maybe I shouldn't deleted it, but I think 1 hour is too long, and I really like reading not over, not or no longer than 20 minutes, so people can have some of their little time listening to what they want. Yeah, and I believe it's a good book. From the US, but usually live in Thailand. Which state were you from? And by the way, good morning. It's late, I know. But yeah, I feel burnt out recently for a couple of days. And that which means one like 2 days ago I fell asleep around like 4 5 p.m. and I woke up 8:30, and yesterday I fell asleep at 6, woke up at almost 10, just like today. California, which part? Now it's like an interview because I have 1 more minute. Presenting stuck in Penang. Ah, I have never been to Penang. Excuse me, I went to Malaysia once and Kelantan. Just only 1 day. Like going, went, I went there in the morning and came back in the evening, and just that. Anyway, thank you for listening. Alright, have a safe trip coming back to Thailand. Stay safe and good night. Or good morning.